Welcome back, everybody. It's me. Today is another installment of scary stories from guests here at the hotel. So grab your keys and get ready to check in. 3 years ago, I was on a road trip through Nevada. A boyfriend and I were driving from San Francisco all the way to Vegas. We wanted to stop halfway for the night. We ended up getting to Tampa around 9 p.m. It's this random little desert town out in the middle of nowhere. All along the strip, these motels are kind of falling apart. So we stopped at one called the Desert Rose Inn. It was a weird place. You walk inside, and there's no real lobby or anything like that. The lady who worked there was sitting behind a nail-bitten, scratched-up desk. She asked us for our driver's license and credit card, and started making these little scratches on a piece of paper. It was very sketchy. But we got our room key and went to go check out our room. Our room was okay. It was a typical old, run-down motel room. Nothing really stood out as particularly disturbing or creepy. No blood on the walls or anything like that. But when we got settled in, my boyfriend noticed a sign hanging crookedly on the wall that said, "Do not use the mirror in the bathroom after midnight." It was clearly handwritten and looked pretty recent. "What?" he says. "Why would there be a rule like that?" But before the lady could answer, she excused herself and went into the office next door, leaving us alone in the room. We thought nothing of it. I guess we should have. A couple hours later, I needed to brush my teeth. I went into the bathroom, turned on the light, stared directly into the mirror, and almost screamed. Staring back at me from the reflection was a gaunt, pale woman. She was dressed in what looked like a 1950s-style dress, and her hair was pulled back tightly. She had these wild, soulless eyes, and was staring straight at me. I turned away for a second to try to get my bearings and what the hell I was seeing. Then I turned back and she was gone. Stared directly into the mirror again, trying to see if she was still there. Of course, she wasn't. This must have been some trick of the light, right? I shrugged it off and went about my business. But about 15 minutes later, I went back into the bathroom to rinse my mouth out. And as I'm rinsing my mouth, I glanced up at the mirror and I caught my own reflection. Only it wasn't my reflection. It was the same reflection that I had seen before. She was staring at me, but she wasn't in the room. Then something happened that made my blood run cold. Her lips moved and she spoke. But the scariest part was that I knew exactly what she was saying. Even though she never actually formed words, she was saying my name over and over again. Sarah, Sarah, Sarah. I stared back at her, too afraid to move or speak. I couldn't look away from her soulless eyes. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't make any sound. I remember thinking, how can I be so paralyzed with fear that I can't even scream? Then, just as suddenly as she appeared, she vanished. I stood there transfixed for a moment, then ran out of the bathroom and into my boyfriend's arms. I told him what I'd seen, but he didn't believe me, thought I was joking at first. But when I explained how terrified I was, he finally agreed we should probably check out of that room immediately. We threw our stuff in a bag and rushed to the front desk to check out. When the lady saw us, her face drained of color. "You're checking out," she whispered, her voice shaking. "But it's only midnight," I said. She stared at me, horrified. "Oh God, you saw her," she whispered. "What did she say to you?" "She didn't say anything. She just kept saying my name," I replied. The lady took a deep breath and leaned in close to me. "You need to leave this town immediately," she said urgently. "You stay here another minute, she'll find you." Before I could ask any questions, she handed me my credit card back and shoved me towards the door. "Please just go," she pleaded. As we were leaving, my boyfriend asked her what was going on, what was in the mirror, why she was so scared. The lady just shook her head and said, "You don't want to know. Please just leave." We didn't stick around to hear her out. We got in our car and drove away as fast as we could. The whole drive to Las Vegas, we were arguing because neither of us believed the story that the lady had told us. My boyfriend insisted that I was just making it up, while I insisted that I was telling the truth. Finally, we got back to our hotel room in Vegas, and the first thing I did was go to the bathroom to stare in the mirror. I was hoping that I would see the lady from earlier standing behind me, knowing that my boyfriend would finally believe me. But she wasn't there. But as I was staring into the mirror, I realized that the mirror itself was different. It was older, more ornate, and antique-looking than the one we had used the night before. Then I turned and saw it. Scrawled on the wall behind the mirror in red lipstick was a message. It read, "I'm behind you." I do know where that mirror came from or how the heck that message got on the wall, but I sure as hell hope I never find out. After that experience, I never stayed in another motel again. I don't even like staying in hotels by myself now. I guess I'm not really cut out for solo travel. The next day, we decided to go to the Grand Canyon instead of Vegas. We got there, and we were walking around the rim, just taking in the beautiful view. And I turned to my boyfriend and I said, "You know, I haven't told you this yet, but I'm glad that we stopped at that motel last night. If we hadn't, we wouldn't have come here today." He smiled. Me too. But then I realized something. Our van had broken down outside of Tonopah, and we were supposed to be driving through it on our way to Vegas. I asked my boyfriend, "Hey, where are we right now?" He looked at me like I was crazy. "We're at the Grand Canyon," he said. I stared at him in disbelief. "Oh no, I mean, where are we?" I repeated slowly. "Like what city?" His smile faded. "Tonopah," he said quietly. I'll never forget the look on his face when he realized what had happened. We had driven from Vegas to Tonopah and back without either of us realizing it. I never saw that lady in the mirror again. So if you're ever driving through Tonopah and you break down, just call a tow truck and get out of there. Whatever you do, don't stay at the Desert Rose Inn. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe for more terrifying tales from travelers just like you. Until then, happy haunting.